In the year the National College entrance examination resumed, I was specially approved by the factory to be eligible to participate. But on the day of registration, I saw strange comments flashing before my eyes. Don't participate. This exam is the reason your marriage will end in divorce. Why should the heroine take this test? Even if she has no degree, her husband will spoil her for life. This exam won't help her, it will only lead her to a lonely future. I hesitated. James Carter, who had rushed up behind me, grabbed my hand breathlessly and said, "Emma Wilson, come back with me. My mom suddenly collapsed. We need to take her to the clinic for a checkup." In my previous life, I believed James Carter's lies and those toxic comments. I missed the once-in-a-lifetime chance to take the exam. I let others take advantage of the opportunity, and by the time I was lying in a hospital bed with tubes in my body, I overheard a conversation between my son and my husband. "Dad, I really don't understand why a respected professor like you married such an uneducated woman." "Because I didn't want the woman I truly loved to be trapped by family life," James replied. That was when I realized he had married me only to protect his white moonlight. And yet, I had been willing to live like a servant for the Carter family my entire life. Now, seeing those familiar comments again, I looked at James Carter with a calm expression. "Don't worry. I'm definitely taking this exam." Seeing that I didn't react, James continued to urge me. "Didn't you hear what I said? My mother is elderly. She may have broken a bone. We need to get her checked out thoroughly." I pulled my hand away. "You take her to the clinic first. I'll come after I finish registering." His face turned visibly sour. The comments flashed again. "She's confused. If she takes the exam, hard times await. Better to take care of her mother-in-law. Her husband will be grateful for the rest of his life. With his love, she won't have to worry about anything." But all I could think was, in my next life, all I want is to stop worrying. I looked calmly at James, who seemed anxious, and chuckled. "I have to go." He stood frozen in place. I had always followed his lead. Whatever he said, I would do without hesitation. Now, for the first time, I pushed back. He looked visibly uncomfortable. It took him a while to recover before he said sharply, "You're a daughter-in-law. How can you not be there for your mother-in-law when she's sick? What will the neighbors say? I'm doing this for your own good. My mom is sick. If you visit her more often, maybe she'll start to like you." He said the same thing in my previous life. He knew his mother didn't like me, no matter how hard I tried. I was desperate for her approval. So when James said that again, I hesitated. With all those voices pushing me, I really believed I could change her mind. But when I missed registration and wasted half my life trying to please her, I finally realized the truth. It had all been a cage James Carter built for me. "This exam matters to me. You've already registered. Take her there yourself." "Are you saying a grown man can't take his mother to a doctor?" Just then, a familiar female voice cut in. Sarah Mitchell. James Carter's so-called white moonlight actually showed up at the registration site. She must have been waiting for James to pull me away so she could swoop in and take my place. Perhaps realizing her words were too blunt, she cleared her throat. "Emma, if my mother-in-law were sick, I would have rushed to the clinic without saying a word. How can you be so selfish and only care about yourself?" Seeing she had backup, James quickly agreed. "Yes, Emma. As a woman, you should put your family first. My mother has worked hard her whole life and deserves to enjoy her retirement. If she knees skipped out on her for some test, how heartbroken would she be?" The comments were getting more aggressive. "I'd choose my mother-in-law any day. Why even think about it? Emma is such a fool. She could have lived comfortably as a Carter, but she chose to suffer. She'll regret it later. Her husband is doing everything for her sake." I stared coldly at the two of them and said, "Don't worry. I'm not leaving her alone." Just when they thought I had given in, I added, "I'll go after I register." Their faces fell. "Emma Wilson, are you made of stone? How can you be so heartless?" James raised his voice, drawing attention. "How can you treat your husband's mother like this? The old lady is sick, and all you care about is some test. Are you really going to throw away your home for an exam?" The barrage of comments kept flashing. She should quit while she's ahead. Taking care of her in-laws is a daughter-in-law's duty. No one will want her if she divorces. Who cares if she passes the test or not? Why trade something big for something uncertain? I realized James Carter was even willing to humiliate me in public just to stop me from registering. But it was too late. I had already seen through all their masks. Even if I gave up this exam and stayed behind to take care of my mother-in-law, I knew deep down I wouldn't receive a single word of thanks. James Carter would still treat me like a live-in maid, someone he could order around. Even my son had started to look down on me. To them, I wasn't worth as much as a stray dog picked up off the street. How could such a life ever be called happiness? Now that I've been given another chance, I'm not going to repeat my mistakes. This college entrance exam is the first step I need to change my life. When did I say I don't care about your mother? I snapped, turning to James Carter. Do you not understand plain English, or do you think I'm a doctor? Why are you dragging me along to something you can handle yourself? James looked completely flustered, speechless for a moment. Sarah Mitchell, never one to miss a chance, stepped in to stir things up. Emma Wilson, this is your fault. Sure, James's mother isn't your blood, but she's your family now. Would you ignore your own mother if she collapsed at home? Or do you still see James's mother as an outsider? Their voices were loud enough to gather a crowd, and now the people nearby started whispering. She always acts so dutiful around her in-laws, but maybe it's all fake, someone muttered. She's a married woman. Why is she here taking a college entrance exam? Isn't it a waste of a seat? Another scoffed. Yeah, what does she want a degree for anyway? Trying to cozy up to some politician's kid or something. As if someone like her would even stand a chance. The sound of laughter rippled through the group like poison. James took that moment to grab my arm again and tried to drag me away. Haven't you made a big enough scene? Come back with me now. I shoved him off again. Emma Wilson, he growled. Are you going to wait until the whole town's calling you heartless before you finally come to your senses? I stared him down, my voice even. You're doing all this just to humiliate me, now you want to act like the victim? More comments flashed before my eyes, urging me to go back with my husband while he still cared, warning me that I'd regret it if I missed this chance. The best husband, they said. But if being the best husband means treating your wife like a servant, then I don't want him. It's only 10 or 20 minutes, James, I said coldly. Why are you so desperate to drag me away now? Then I looked directly at Sarah Mitchell, her nervous expression betraying her motives. You're pushing so hard for me to leave what? Hoping no one notices when you sneak in and steal my place in the exam line? James's face paled with surprise. It took him a moment to stammer a response. Emma Wilson, you've lost your mind. You're accusing everyone now. All eyes turned to Sarah. Her pale face flushed deep red. Emma, what nonsense is this? She said, forcing out a laugh. Just because you don't care about your sick mother-in-law, you want to throw me under the bus? What does this have to do with me? Then why are you here? I asked calmly. Today is strictly for candidates who've registered for the exam. So, unless you're taking it, you shouldn't be loitering here. Before I could say more, Sarah's eyes welled up with tears. Fine, I'm not taking the exam. The factory didn't give me a chance like they gave you. I just wanted to come and see what it's like. Can I even do that? Do you own the place? Do you have any proof I'm trying to steal your spot? She turned dramatically to James, and he immediately stepped in front of her like her knight in shining armor. Emma, this is too far, he scolded. You don't want to help my mom, fine. But accusing Sarah without proof? That's cruel. Do you have any idea how much damage your lies can do? It was the first time I'd ever seen James Carter defend someone like that. Even after living with him for 50 years in the previous life, he never once stood up for Menet even when his mother humiliated me. He always acted like he couldn't hear it. I used to think he just didn't want to be involved in women's quarrels. But now I realized the truth, it wasn't that he didn't want to get involved. It's that the woman wasn't me. So I misunderstood Sarah Mitchell, I said flatly. James took that as his cue to ramp up the self-righteousness. Exactly. Sarah just wanted you to think of your family, and you turned around and slander her. That's a perfect example of biting the hand that feeds you. If you understand now, just apologize and we'll move on. Of course, Sarah was quick to act gracious.
There's no need, she said.
As long as Emma is willing to clear my name, I won't hold it against her. Then she pivoted sharply. But, Emma, let me be honest. You married James, so it's your responsibility to care for his mother. Right now, Your sick mother-in-law is lying at home alone. If people find out, what will they think of you and James? You're one family. Don't make people say you're both unfilial. That jab hit home. James's eyes lit up like he finally remembered his next move. He lunged toward me again, but I stepped aside. You're right about one thing, I said, my tone calm. This exam means a lot to me. Everyone here knows it's a rare opportunity. But if my mother-in-law absolutely refuses to go to the clinic without me, then fine, can someone please help me fill out the paperwork while I take care of her? Sarah's smile froze mid-face. You can't just cut in line like that. Why not? I asked. Everyone here is qualified. Something came up at home. I'm sure the kind folks in this line won't mind helping out. As I smiled, a few people in front of me quietly stepped aside and moved behind me. In less than a minute, I filled in my registration information and sealed my place in the college entrance exam. When Sarah Mitchell realized she had no chance of taking my spot, she covered her face and ran away in embarrassment. James Carter didn't hesitate, he chased after me. When I got home later that day, he was already there, fuming with rage. Emma Wilson, so you finally remembered to come home. Do you even care about this family anymore? I stared at him, unimpressed. So, what happened to your mother? Is she okay? For a moment, guilt flickered across James's face. Of course she's fine. What do you think, that she died while you were off signing papers? But I already knew the truth. His mother hadn't fallen, hadn't even been hurt. The whole thing was a lie James cooked up to stop me from registering. And his mother went along with it, believing that women shouldn't bother with too much education anyway. They tried to trap me at the clinic just long enough to miss the deadline. That's good to hear, I said plainly, and turned to leave. James jumped to his feet again, his temper flaring. What's that supposed to mean? Are you upset she's okay? Do you think I lied to you? He narrowed his eyes. Maybe those people were right. Ever since you got that exam quota, you've stopped caring about our family. In that case, maybe we should just get a divorce. I wasn't expecting him to threaten divorce so quickly, though deep down, I knew it wasn't really about me. It was always about Sarah Mitchell. In this era, divorced women were stigmatized, gossiped about, judged. And James thought he could use that to scare me. When I didn't answer, he softened his tone. Emma, I know this exam means a lot to you. But doesn't our family mean something too? Are you really going to throw everything away for some test? I raised an eyebrow. Why do I have to choose? Why can't I have both? Because you can't. James snapped, walking toward me. He took my hands and gave me that same look he always used when he wanted something. Let's be honest. Even if you pass the test, preparing for it will take up all your time. Who's going to manage the house? Who's going to look after Mom? You've done such a great job running everything. People say you're the perfect wife, the ideal mother. It was again the compliment that felt like chains. Perfect wife, ideal mother, just fancy terms to lock me into unpaid labor. If this exam breaks apart our home, James continued, isn't that a terrible loss? I don't want you to overwork yourself either. It's enough if I'm the only one making money. If I had known better, I might have mistaken his words for a declaration of love. But I could see right through him now. So, what do you want me to do? I asked flatly. His eyes lit up. Don't take the exam, Emma. Do it for me. I smiled slightly and nodded. Okay. James, thinking he'd won, didn't waste a second. Since you're not taking it, let Sarah have your spot. She's been preparing so hard. She's not married, yet it's the perfect opportunity for her. So this was his real agenda. I looked him dead in the eyes. If you want Sarah to take the test so badly, why don't you give her your own qualification? James looked flustered. It took him a moment to answer. If I could, I would have done it already. But we're not in the same factory. Her recommendation wouldn't count. His excuse was flimsy, but technically correct. Fine, I said. Relieved, he grabbed my arm. Great. Let's hurry before the registration closes. He dragged me back to the office, and under his watchful eye, I submitted paperwork changing all my information to Sarah Mitchell's. Only when everything was finalized did he leave, completely satisfied. Time passed quickly, and before I knew it, the day of the college entrance exam arrived. Sarah Mitchell, dressed up in a new outfit and wearing her hair in 2 braids like a little schoolgirl, marched up to me proudly. Well, if it isn't Emma Wilson. You're still hanging around here, even though you don't have a ticket to the exam? Housewives, like you should go back to the kitchen where you belong. She clicked her heels as she strutted toward the examination room, but before she could enter, a security guard stopped her. Her smug face immediately crumbled. What do you mean? She demanded. I'm sorry, the guard said firmly. Your name isn't on the registration list. You can't go in. That's impossible, Sarah barked. I clearly registered. There must be some mistake. She pushed forward, trying to grab the clipboard out of the guard's hands, but he sidestepped her. She stumbled and fell flat on the ground, her voice rising in indignation. Why won't you let me see the list? What are you hiding? Her tantrum drew a crowd. James Carter, who was waiting in the next room, heard the commotion and came running. Sarah burst into tears the moment she saw him. James, they said I'm not on the list. But you told me everything was changed.
Please talk to them.
Tell them it's a mistake. James didn't hesitate. He wrapped his arms around her and comforted her gently, completely ignoring May's legal wife standing just a few feet away. Then he turned to the security guard with a smile. Sir, could you double-check the list for us? I personally saw the staff enter her name. There must be some mix-up. I'll vouch for her. The guard, clearly trying to be patient, checked again. But the result didn't change. There's still no Sarah Mitchell on the list, he said. That's not possible, Sarah shrieked. You people don't know how to do your jobs. I'll report you to the education department. I'd had enough. I stepped forward and shoved the two of them aside. If you're not on the list, step aside. Don't block the entrance. We were waiting near the entrance to be called in for the exam when James Carter finally noticed me standing outside the room.
He frowned.
Why are you here? Shouldn't you be at home? I let out a soft laugh. Everyone here is taking the exam. Or are you and Sarah Mitchell just here to flaunt your affair in public? The students around us stifled their chuckles, and soon a ripple of laughter passed through the line. James Carter's face darkened, and Sarah Mitchell looked like she was about to cry. Oh, right, I added with mock sweetness. You are still my husband, so technically what you're doing would be called cheating. At the very least, could you two have found a private corner for your little love story? Emma Wilson, stop talking nonsense. James barked, calling me by my full name, trying to regain control. But I brushed past him coldly and walked straight into the examination room without hesitation. Sarah Mitchell's shocked voice pierced the air. How is this possible? Emma Wilson was disqualified. How can she still be allowed to take the exam? She rushed up to the security guard. Did she bribe you? That was supposed to be my seat. You must have done something shady. The security team had had enough. With a quick motion, one of them firmly removed Sarah Mitchell from the doorway. If you keep causing trouble, we won't be so polite next time. She collapsed on the ground, muttering, This is impossible. Impossible. James stood stiffly nearby, clearly torn, helpless as he watched her spiral. He turned and glared at me with burning resentment. What's so impossible? I said with a cool smile. You forced me to hand over the seat, so of course I had the right to change it back. James Carter hadn't expected that the moment he left the office that day, I had burst into tears in front of the clerk, begging them to restore my registration. Emma Wilson, how dare you play me like that, he growled, trembling with rage. He looked like he wanted to lunge at me and rip me apart, but the exam rooms were separated by hall and the security guard had already stepped between us. If you're not taking the exam, leave the building, the guard warned sharply. James backed off reluctantly because we both knew this exam was too important. Not even Sarah Mitchell's place in his heart could outweigh his own future. So he swallowed his anger and hissed under his breath, Emma Wilson, just wait. He helped Sarah up from the floor, but she suddenly broke away from him and rushed to the window near me. Emma, please. I'm begging you. Let me have the seat. I swear, if you give me this chance, I'll leave James. I just can't miss this exam. Her desperation surprised me. With how much she had prepared, she could take it next year, couldn't she? But then I learned the truth. If she failed this year, her family would force her into a marriage with a rural farmer. Her last chance to stay in the city would vanish forever. Unfortunately for her, this exam was my last chance, too. I hadn't had children yet. This was my shot to live life on my own terms. Sarah Mitchell was quickly escorted out again to maintain order, sobbing all the way. James Carter hesitated for a moment, but said nothing. He looked at me with pure blame in his eyes, as if I'd stolen something from him. As soon as the exam ended, he was waiting for me outside with a storm brewing in his expression. "Emma Wilson," he snapped, "you promised me. You said you'd give Sarah the chance. Why did you lie?" I folded my arms and smiled. "I was just joking." "What? Can't take a joke now." His face turned crimson with fury, but I cut him off before he could explode. "Just like you lied to me about your mother's fake accident. Guess we're even." His expression flickered with guilt before he quickly covered it. "That's different. How can you joke about something this serious?" "Why not?" I shrugged.
Elite.
"Fair game." "Sarah prepared so hard for this exam," he shouted. "She would have passed with flying colors. And what are you? A housewife with no skills. Are you really going to waste this chance, just out of jealousy?" I leaned forward and asked him softly, "How do you know I won't pass?" James let out a scoff. "What else can you do besides laundry and cooking?" There it was again, his image of me, boxed up, labeled, and stored in a corner of his life. "Then let's divorce," I said without hesitation. James blinked in disbelief. "What did you say?" His voice cracked. "You're really using divorce as a threat now? You think I care? Fine. Let's do it. Let's see how you survive out there. You think anyone will want you after me? Let's see how hard you fail without me." 2 months after our divorce papers were signed, I saw James Carter Ogden at the freshman orientation of the university. He spotted me from across the campus, and his smug expression returned immediately. "So, you couldn't stay away, huh? You came crawling back? I knew you'd regret leaving me." He looked me over slowly. "Well, maybe if you beg, I'll consider. Emma Wilson, here's your student ID. Please keep it safe." A staff member interrupted from behind me, handing me the card. James Carter's voice caught in his throat.
His jaw dropped.
Did you cheat your way in?" The words barely left his mouth before the staff member added, "By the way, Emma, don't forget to prepare your speech for the opening ceremony. After all, you're part of the first batch of students since the college entrance exam resumed," the advisor said, handing me my student ID. "You should be a role model for your peers. Everyone knows that the student selected to speak at orientation is always the one who ranked first." I had placed first. James Carter's expression froze in disbelief as I took my ID, turned around, and walked away without saying a single word. But ever since that day, James Carter clung to me like chewing gum stuck to the sole of my shoe. When I was reading in the library, he'd suddenly appear beside me, smiling like nothing ever happened. "What a coincidence," he'd say with forced casualness. When I went to the cafeteria, he would shamelessly sit at my table and drop pieces of meat into my bowl like it was the most natural thing in the world. "You're too skinny. Eat more to stay strong," he said, tone dripping with fake concern. To others, we might have looked like a couple in love. To me, it felt disgusting. James seemed to have forgotten that we weren't married anymore and that I never wanted to see his face again. "I know you're still upset with me about the past," he said one day. "How about I apologize? I shouldn't have given your exam spot to Sarah without asking. But I really didn't mean anything by it. I didn't know you were so talented, Emma. If I had, I never would have done it. But look, we're both at the same university now. Isn't that fate? We've been married for years. How could you just throw all that away?" I looked at him, expressionless. "And what is it you want to say?" His eyes lit up with misplaced hope. "Let's start over, Emma Wilson." I stared at him, then let out a short laugh. "Are you even single, classmate James? Or did you forget you married Sarah Mitchell less than a month after divorcing me? You even sent me an invitation, like you were proud of it." His face turned red. "That was just to help her get a city household registration. It meant nothing. If you'll take me back, I'll divorce her immediately." I smiled coldly. "I'd rather believe in ghosts than believe in you again. Sorry, classmate James, but I'm not interested in married men." Yet even after I made myself crystal clear, James Carter refused to back off. When he saw me talking to male classmates, he'd jump in, puffing out his chest like a territorial dog. "She's my wife. Back off," he'd announce loudly. His antics started scaring my classmates away. One afternoon, I had enough. "James Carter, are you mentally ill? Do you even understand what divorce means? We are nothing to each other. If you keep spreading lies on campus, don't blame me for going public." He just smiled, trying to smooth it over like always. "Come on, Emma. You're my wife. We just had a little misunderstanding, that's all. Don't let a small fight ruin everything. People say couples quarrel by the pillow and make up under the sheets. Why take it so seriously?" He was truly shameless. And then, right on cue, Sarah Mitchell stormed into the campus courtyard like a tornado. I had someone pass her a note earlier, and clearly she read it. "So this is why you kept saying you were too busy to come home," she screamed, charging toward James. "You're out here being seduced by this little fox." She didn't hesitate. She punched and kicked James while sobbing. "I'm at home taking care of everything, and you're here sneaking around with another woman? You ungrateful bastard. You crazy woman. What the hell are you talking about?" James shouted, pushing her off. But Sarah wasn't done. She turned her rage on me. "You're disgusting, Emma Wilson. You knew James was married, and you still seduced him. You're a homewrecker. I'm going to report you to the school administration and make sure they kick out immoral trash like you." I rolled my eyes. Why is it always the woman who gets blamed when a man cheats? But before I could even respond, James Carter slapped Sarah Mitchell across the face with a loud crack. "Shut up." Everyone froze. Sarah clutched her cheek in shock. "You hit me? You really hit me? What about everything you promised me? You said you'd take care of me for life. We've only been married a month, and you're already doing this." Then she launched herself at him. "You dog. I'll fight you to the death." The two of them were full-on brawling now, shouting and shoving as students crowded around to watch. I quietly slipped away into a shady corner of the courtyard, calmly observing them tear each other apart. Sarah's dress was torn, and her arm was bleeding. James had deep scratches across his face, red welts forming fast. "You lying, cheating bastard," she screamed. "I'm going to tell everyone in this school what kind of scumbag you are. You're going to lose everything." The murmur of gossip among the students grew louder. Whispers turned into pointing fingers. James Carter's face twisted into something hollow and scared, because if there's one thing he truly feared, it wasn't losing love. It was losing face. James Carter's bloodshot eyes suddenly darkened with something far more dangerous than rage, something primal, unhinged. Before anyone could react, he lunged forward and wrapped his hands around Sarah Mitchell's neck. Her screams turned into strangled gasps as she flailed wildly, her nails clawing at his arms, but James just tightened his grip. The more she fought, the harder he squeezed. And then she stopped. Her body went limp, and her wide, unblinking eyes stared straight at the man she once trusted. James finally released her, but it was already too late. Sarah Mitchell collapsed like a broken doll. She never would have believed, not even in her final breath, that the man who once swore to protect her would end her life with his own hands. A voice in the crowd suddenly shouted, "Murder!" and the stunned onlookers scattered like startled birds. James stood there frozen, then slowly turned his eyes toward Emma, still standing beneath the shade of the tree, watching.
"Emma."
"Emma Wilson," he stammered, stumbling toward me. "I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean it. It was her. Sarah drove me crazy. She forced me. I lost control, just for a second." He dropped to his knees and crawled toward me, clutching my leg like a desperate child. "Please, you have to help me. You're the only one who can." I looked down at him without a shred of emotion. "Emma, I can't go to prison," he begged. "If I go in there, what will happen to my mother? She's old. She can't survive without me. Do you want to see her die in misery?" His voice cracked, eyes frantic. "Please, just tell the police it was you. Say, it was an accident. You're a woman, a judge might show mercy. They'll be lenient. And I promise I'll wait for you. When you're out, we'll be a family again." I kicked him away with all the force in my leg. He fell back in shock. "Take the blame for you?" I said, laughing coldly. "That might be the most pathetic joke I've ever heard." He sat there stunned, his jaw slightly open, as if he truly didn't understand why I wouldn't sacrifice myself for him. Then, as if something in him snapped, he stood up slowly and glared at me with chilling intensity. "Emma Wilson, how can you be this heartless?" he snarled. "I killed her for you. For you. And you're telling me you won't even cover for me? His voice dropped into a dangerous tone. Besides, what's the point of all your fancy education? At the end of the day, you're still just a woman. You'll end up married, like everyone else. And who would even want a used-up divorcee, like you accept me? He sneered. You should be grateful I even looked your way.
But no.
You had to act high and mighty. Since you refused the toast, then you'll drink the punishment. His hand reached toward me with murder in his eyes. I'll send you to join her. But before he could touch me, the air split with the sound of gunfire. James screamed and fell to the ground, clutching his leg in agony, blood seeping through his pants. He writhed, unable to move. Police officers rushed in, tackled him, and placed him in cuffs. The moment was over. James Carter, the man who once claimed to be my savior, my husband, my everything, was dragged away, like the criminal he was. The case was cut and dried. Surveillance footage, witness accounts, and physical evidence left no room for doubt. He had murdered Sarah Mitchell in front of dozens of students. The trial didn't last long. James Carter was sentenced to 30 years in prison without the possibility of parole. The university expelled him immediately, erasing every record of his existence on campus. From that day forward, the name James Carter became nothing more than a cautionary whisper in school corridors. 4 years later, I graduated with honors and entered a competitive federal position, me name now associated not with scandal or shame, but resilience, intelligence, and quiet strength. My life was nothing like it had been before. And thank God for that.